Hello everyone, this is Dr. Sumaya Khan. Today we will be discussing an important topic, that is chemical coordination and integration. Guys, this topic is very important for your NEET point of view because we generally get 2 to 3 questions from this topic. They generally give you the endocrine and direct hormone based questions, or they either give you a disorder based question. So before we'll do things ahead, we'll first of all begin with the introduction of the endocrine gland. Endocrine glands, they are the ductless glands. Okay, they do not have the ducts to carry their secretion. They release their secretion directly into the bloodstream, and from the blood it can be carried to the target site or the target organ, whatever it is, whether its effect is needed. These endocrine glands are non-nutrient in nature. Okay, what are these? They are non-nutrient in nature. They are released in smaller quantities, or you can say in less quantities they are needed by the body. Apart from that, Ernest H. Starling was the one who coined the term hormone in 1905, and the first hormone that was discovered was the secretin, but the insulin was the first hormone that was being isolated by the scientist. Now let's come to the classification of the hormones. This is an important topic. In NEET 2018 we got the question from this topic. So classification of the hormones, types of hormone with the corresponding examples. The first one is the amino acid derivative hormone, the second one is a peptide hormone, and the third one is a protein or a polypeptide hormone, and the fourth one is a steroid hormone. Let's come to the example of the amino acid derivative hormone. Epinephrine and norepinephrine released by the adrenal medulla are what? These are the hormones that are released by the adrenal medulla and are amino acid derivative hormone. Apart from that, thyroxine, which is derived from one of the amino acid named as tyrosine. This hormone is also a amino acid derivative hormone. Then we have the next one as the peptide hormone, that includes your oxytocin and the vasopressin. These two hormones are secreted by the posterior pituitary, also known as the neurohypophysis. Also known as the neurohypophysis. These are secreted by the posterior pituitary. They both are peptidal hormone. Then we have the protein or a polypeptide based hormone. All the common hormones, including insulin, glucagon, these guys are what? They are all the protein or a polypeptide based hormone. Apart from that, we have a steroid hormone. These are the hormones that are released by the adrenal cortex. All the hormones secreted by the gonads, that include your testes and the ovaries, and the placental hormones are steroidal in nature. Now, let's come to the human endocrine system, which consists of the different endocrine glands, starting from the hypothalamus, pituitary, pineal, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, adrenal, pancreas, testes, and ovary are the different endocrine glands in humans. Apart from that, if we talk about the pancreas, okay, if we talk about the testes, all these are, endocrine also, as well as exocrine also. Now, the term I have introduced here with you is the exocrine gland. Exocrine glands are the glands which have ducts to carry their secretion, as opposed to the endocrine glands, which are ductless glands. These pancreas and testes are known as the heterocrine gland. This is an important thing. Heterocrine gland, also known as the composite gland, or you can call it as a dual gland. All the three terms can be used for these three, or you can say these two glands. They secrete enzymes also, they secrete the hormones also. Like if you talk about the pancreas is involved in the release of the digestive enzymes also. Apart from secreting the insulin, glucagon, it secretes certain digestive enzymes which help in the digestion of food. Now let's come to the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is known as the master of the master gland. This is known as a master of the master gland because your pituitary is your master gland. Okay, so it controls the pituitary gland. It contains certain neurosecretory cells, also known as the nuclei, which secrete certain hormones, and these hormones will then be carried with the help of the portal circulation into the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is in turn divided into anterior pituitary and the posterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary is known as the adenohypophysis. Okay, what we call it as adenohypophysis. And posterior pituitary is known as the neurohypophysis. Neurohypophysis. And adenohypophysis secretes a different set of hormone. Neurohypophysis secretes a different set of hormones. Now let's see what these hormones are secreted by them. Hypothalamus, I already told you, it divides and releases two types of hormones, an inhibiting hormone, and it also secretes a releasing hormone. As the name suggests, they inhibit the function of certain hormones and they promotes the release of certain hormones. This is the pituitary gland. Here you can see anterior lobe of pituitary and posterior lobe, and in between this region, okay, which is joining region between the two, we call it as a pars intermedia. Okay, we call it as pars intermedia. This is a region which secrete only one hormone, MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone. Melanocyte stimulating hormone, which acts on the skin cells also. It secretes a hormone known as melatonin. Okay, melanocyte stimulating hormone secreted a hormone known as melatonin. Then we have interior lobe of pituitary, which release certain hormones like adrenocorticotropic hormone, which acts on the adrenal gland and control the secretion of the adrenal hormone. Then we have a thyroid stimulating hormone, which acts on the thyroid gland and control the secretion of the thyroid hormones. Similarly, ACTH, that is adrenocorticotropic hormone, acts on the adrenal cortex and control the release of the different corticoids. The hormones that are secreted by the cortex region of the adrenal gland, we call them as corticoids. Now, GH, that is a growth hormone that acts on the liver and it controls the growth of the bone, muscles, and the other tissue. PRL is for the prolactin releasing hormone that acts on the mammary gland and help in the milk synthesis. Okay, it helps in the milk synthesis. Apart from that, your FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, LH, luteinizing hormone, they act on the gonads, that is on testes and ovaries, and control the secretion of the different testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, inhibit different hormone from the testes and the ovaries. Apart from that, ADH, antidiuretic hormone, also known as the vasopressin. It acts on the kidney tubules and helps in the reabsorption of water, okay, to prevent the diuresis. Then we have the oxytocin. It is known as the milk ejecting hormone. So here I wanted to make one thing clear, that oxytocin is a milk ejecting hormone and prolactin is a milk synthesis hormone. Here, another thing that we need to understand is the direct neural regulation of the hormone from the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus only and only produces two hormones, ADH and oxytocin, which are synthesized by the hypothalamus, stored in the pituitary, and then released. So these are two hormones, ADH and oxytocin, are under direct neural regulation of the hypothalamus. So this is an important slide because it controls, or it shows here all the hormones and its corresponding things, how it is being controlled by the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. Now, let's come to an important gland, that is your thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is the largest endocrine gland. It is a bilobed structure. You can see here, it's beautifully shown here, that is a bilobed structure connected with the connective tissue known as the hypothalamus. Here is your trachea, that is your windpipe. Now, if you look at the microscopic view of these, thyroid gland, you can see here it consists of cuboidal epithelium cells, which is forming your thyroid follicles. Here you have this filled between these thyroid follicles contain your blood vessels, and tissues are composed of filled with a homogeneous material which is known as a colloid. Apart from that, two types of cells. The first one is of parafollicular cells and another one is of follicular cells. Follicular cells and the parafollicular cells. So follicular cells secretes two hormones, T3 and T4, triiodothyronine. Okay, what we call as triiodothyronine and tetraiodothyronine. This is a triiodothyronine, this is a tetraiodothyronine. Apart from that, your parafollicular and C cells secrete a hormone which is known as your calcitonin, which is associated with the calcium balance in the body. Thyroxine and triiodothyronine, they are secreted by thyroid follicular and calcitonin by the C cells. Very important thing. Then, a mineral iodine is necessary for the synthesis of the thyroid hormone. If a person has a deficiency of the iodine, their deficiency will affect the thyroid gland secretion of these hormones. So it will be affected by these. Now, let's come to the disorders of the thyroid glands. The disorders can be in terms of hyper also, that is associated with the excess secretion, and it can be associated with the hyposecretion. Hypersecretion of the thyroid hormone causes a disease known as Bessy-Dow disease, also known as Graves' disease, also known as exophthalmic goiter, also known as Perry's disease. In your NCRT, this Graves' disease and exophthalmic goiter is mentioned, but there are two other names also for this, which is known as the Bessy-Dow disease and the Perry's disease. It is caused due to the over secretion of thyroid hormone. It causes protruded eyes, very rapid heart rate, tremor, restlessness. All these are the symptoms. You know, in this hyperthyroidism, what happens? The body starts synthesizing certain antibodies which behave like a thyroid stimulating hormone, but they are not regulated by normal feedback control. You know, whenever there is a synthesis of something in our body, any hormone, let's say, because we are talking about the hormone here, so there is always a negative control also. You can't release or secrete everything continuously. There should be a break in that. So negative feedback control is not there. Now, coming to the hypothyroidism, it causes different diseases, like the first one is a cretinism caused by the decreased secretion of the thyroid hormone, and it affects the infants. The second one is what? It is the myxedema, which is affecting the adults, so don't get confused in these two. It is affecting the infant, it is affecting the adults. Then we have a dietary deficiency of iodine leads to an endemic goiter or a simple goiter. And the last one is the Hashimoto's disease, which is also an autoimmune disorder in which the immune body cells affects and targets our own body cells. It starts to degrading our body cells. So this is about the different diseases of the thyroid gland. So I hope, guys, thank you so much for listening to me. I hope you like the video and do share your feedback. So see you in the next class. Thank you so much, guys.